So this is the command which you have to install, which you have to run in your PowerShell to get those, to load those modules, Cloud PowerShell modules. Once these modules are downloaded, you can start connecting to Azure. Are you able to connect to Azure and you are able to see the subscription? Maybe those new hyphen AZ resource group commandlets are not loaded properly. So what you can do is, first, before doing anything or before connecting to cloud, start installing this AZ module on your machine, right? So you just have to copy this and put it in your PowerShell and execute, right? So if you execute in PowerShell, all these modules, get hyphen AZ resource provider and get hyphen new hyphen AZ resource group deployment, all these modules will be loaded. So what I have done in my cloud account is, first I have connected with AZ account. This is the first command, which I have already shared in the Word document. Where is it? So this is the first command. And before that, I'll try to add install Azure PowerShell.
Excuse me, someone sir.
Yeah. I
Request.
have already recorded. I have already started the recording.
Okay.
Yeah. Install Azure PowerShell modules by from the below link. Okay. I'm going to paste that link as well. Okay. So once this installation is done, you can connect to connect-AZ account. So once this is done, you will be able to see the subscription, right? So let me show you. So once this command is executed, you will be seeing your subscription details here, right? You'll be seeing the subscription details here. Once you see the subscription details, the command which you have to use to install or to deploy a template is this. Okay. So what I have done here is new hyphen AZ resource group deployment. So I have used a command to deploy to a location called East US, and from the template file which is stored in this location, e storage test.json. So this is the file. This is the complete path you have to give. So once this is done, executed, it'll be asking for a resource group. Did it ask for a resource group when you guys executed, or it's failing when you run the first command?
It's failing, sir.
Yeah. So can someone share your screen so that I can see what exactly is happening? So I can stop sharing my screen. So can one of you guys start sharing your screen so that I can see what exactly is there, or we can try fixing those errors. So this is very important, guys, troubleshooting the issue, right? So whenever you see something, you have to start troubleshooting on with the error code which you got, right? Whenever you start working on cloud computing, the first thing you see is a lot of errors, right? So you have to start troubleshooting. So can someone share your screen, whoever got the error for PowerShell deployments? Hello.
I have deleted the resources, sir. All in the.
Oh, you have deleted the resources. Okay, no worries. So let's do this. First, you create a resource group in Azure, and then give that resource group name once you have executed. So I'll share my screen again. Okay. So once you have created a resource group, you give the resource group name here. So that's how you can start working on this. So once the deployment is completed, it says that deployment name is storage test, resource group name is this, and provision state whether it is succeeded or not, and it will give a timestamp. Timestamp, it says this one. This will be in the EST time zone. Yeah, and this is the parameters. So this is the standard LRS East storage, which is storage account type, which is created, and it is in East US location. And this is the output. This is the name of the storage account which is created, which we already have seen in the Azure portal. Okay. Any other questions, guys, except for the labs which we are performing? Any other questions you have? Labs, I think tomorrow we'll set up a class for 1 hour, and then we'll discuss purely labs. I'll pause here for a minute for questions, and then we'll start.
One more doubt, sir.
Yeah.
For example, if a user, if a new joiner enters into the organization, we give the users and the permissions those all requests to him. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any time span when the user was absconded or he was relieved from the organization?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any time scan to delete all the permissions which has given to him? Is there any time span over there, or we can delete it immediately?
We can delete it immediately. There is no time span as such. If you want to delete that users, you can directly log into Azure and you can delete them. There is no a fixed time span. You can delete the users immediately after creation, but I don't think we do have a time span to delete that.
Or else
But if
if we
you have
reflect
a
it,
resource,
or else if that same person will join into the organization once again he come for the interview,
hmm
and again he will recruit them.
hmm
Will
then
the
you can
data
immediately create a new user. In
will
the
it
sense, for
reflect?
the resource creation, it is 24 hours by default if you want to create the same resource group. So it used to be 24 hours. I have to check if that have changed. But if you want to create it with the same name, 24 hours is a hard limit to create the same resource again. Let's say a storage account we deleted. If you want to create it with the same name, you have to wait for 24 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. So any other questions, guys? Can we start with today's topic?
Yes.
Yeah. So today we are going to discuss about a couple of topics. So that is access control, activity logs, and resource locking. So these are the three topics which we are going to discuss. So it could be a quick session today. And let me take you to access control. So we are going to discuss today about access control. So management policies. So ARM management policies allow you to ensure policies during resource deployment, specific VM size, location, and naming convention. Let's say you have your data center or cloud resources built in South India, right? So you want to deploy only to South India. Let's say a person comes in and start deploying into Central India. So you should not be allowing that user to deploy any resources in Central India. That is how you set the policy to for the users only to create resources in South India. If they try to create any resources in Central India, you should be able to give a error message to them saying that resources cannot be deployed to a specific region according to Azure resource policies. So any of the users can only be able to create resources in South India. Let's say your HR department, their resources are hosted in West India, right? So they can only create resources in West India. If they try to create any resources in South India or Central India, you should get a error message saying that the policy will not accept you to create, right? So that is about creating management policies. So management policies complaint RBAC. RBAC is a user focused, whereas MPs are resource focused. So RBAC we already know about RBAC, right? MPs are management policies. RBAC is read the permissions which we are going to give to the resources. So created and managed using PowerShell or REST APIs. So this management policies can be created and installed through PowerShell. So it is a script which we have to deploy to Azure. So it will have a structure, it has parameters, variables. So I'll show that in the next slide, how we can, how the structure of the management policy looks like. Created and managed using PowerShell, applied at subscription, resource group, or resource group level. So where can I apply these management policies? So let's say a subscription is having a resources or in East US. So I can apply these policies at a subscription level only to deploy resources to East US, not to any other resources. So we can apply these management policies at the subscription level. I can apply this management policies at the resource group level. Yesterday we discussed about resource groups, right? So where you have a set of resources bundled together for a particular department or for an organization for segregation, right? So you can apply the management policies at the resource group level and also at the resource level, right? So policy events are audited and can be viewed in the portal by using PowerShell. So this can be audited or viewed by PowerShell or in the portal. Policies are cumulative. So policy definition structure. Policy definition is created using JSON file. So these policies are also created using a JSON file. Consist of one or more conditional logic. Let's say a user is trying to create a resource in Central India, and he should not be able to create a resource in Central India. He should only create a resource in South India, right? So when he is trying to create a resource in Central India, it should have a condition. He is trying to install a resource in Central India. What is the logic? He should get a error message saying that he should not be able to install it because of the Azure policy. So there'll be a logic and the output as well. So operative which defines the action. What is the action and the effect? So action could be getting a error message saying that he may not be able to install those resources in South India. A policy contains the following at a minimum: condition logic operator, a set of conditions which can be manipulated through a set of logical operators; effect that describes what the effect will be when condition is satisfied, denied, or appended. So creating a management policy. This is how a management policy looks like. So you see this dollar location policy is equal to new hyphen Azure policy definition, name region policy definition hyphen description, policy to allow resources created in West Europe only. Only you can create resources in West Europe. Okay. So if not field location in Central US, then effect deny. If he is creating a resource in Central US, it will be denying. So in this, effect is deny, right? In this, effect is deny. So this is the condition or the logic. If not field location in central US, the effect is deny. So this is the same script which we are going to run in PowerShell after you connect to Azure. So if you run this command, you cannot install any of the resources in apart from West Europe. We clear, guys, about resource creation or Azure management policies? You have any questions till now? Okay, so creating a Azure resource policy. So new hyphen AZ policy assignment hyphen name, location policy, policy definition, location policy scope, and this is the subscription. So this is the context or the definition which we can give. So what it will do, it will try to set a policy, or it will try to set a policy for a particular subscription for a particular location, right? So location policy, policy definition, location policy hyphen scope, and this is for the subscription. And the resource group ARM policies. So this is the resource group for which we have applied it. So that is about resource policies. I'm going to give you a script. Once the class is done, I'm going to share a Word document with the script, how you can assign a policy to a particular resource, and we can do a lab on that. Okay. And coming to resource locks. So what is a resource lock? Let's say you have a virtual machine in cloud deployed, and you only want other users to view or read or access the resource, and but not to delete that. In the sense, in case of, let's say, accidentally a new guy joined and he have worked with the virtual machine, he don't even know what he's doing, and he just clicked on delete and it got deleted. So it's an accidental deletion. So in order to avoid that accidental deletions, what we'll do is apply resource locks. So if you apply a resource lock, only you will be able to delete the resource lock or delete the resource, but only the other users just able to read or modify the resources, but not able to delete the resources, right? It is just nothing but locking the resource. So resource locks. ARM resource locks allow you to prevent accidental deletion or modification of resource groups or resources in your subscription. So this is about avoiding a accidental deletion by someone who don't know what the resource is. There are two types of resource locks, that is delete or read only. So what is delete resource lock? Delete resource lock is nothing but if if you do not want any of the users to delete that resource, you can apply a delete resource lock. If it is read only, if you apply a delete resource lock, he can access the resource and he can modify the resource, only he will not be able to delete it. In the sense, if it is a virtual machine, he can add the network cards, he can modify the network properties, or he can modify the resources of that virtual machine, but he just not able to delete the virtual machine. But if you apply a read only resource lock, so he can only read that virtual machine. In the sense, he can only access the virtual machine, but he cannot modify any of the components on the virtual machine. It's just like applying read only permissions to a file, right, on a Windows file. So delete means authorizing users, user can still read and modify a resource, but they cannot delete it. Read only means authorizing users can read from a resource, but they cannot delete it or perform any action on it. Applied to everyone, including administrator. So even I may not be able to delete the resource if I apply a resource lock till I delete the lock. Let's say I'll take you to an example here. So I'll go to the portal. And I'll say, I'll go to a virtual machine. I see I have a simple Windows VM here, right? Simple Windows VM. I'll click on this. I'll say lock. So you see the locks here, there is no lock in here. So if I say add and lock name, delete lock, and say, I don't want to delete this resource. Say not to delete. Click OK. And then I'll refresh. So now if I go to this virtual machine and if I try to delete this, would I be able to delete this resource from Azure? Let's see. So delete, yes. So what is the error message I got? Let's see the error message. What is it? Failed to delete the virtual machine error. The scope cannot be performed. Delete of a scope as it is locked. You see this? As it is locked. So if the virtual machine is locked, or if a lock is applied on that virtual machine or a resource, you may not be able to delete it. So how can I delete this machine now? So let's go to machine lock and I'll delete this lock. So this lock is gone. Now if I go to this virtual machine, if I delete this, would I be able to delete? Let's see. You guys able to understand what is a resource lock? Hello.
Secure the VMs.
To secure the VMs or resources, any of the
Yes.
resources. So if
Yes,
you want
yes.
to secure any of the resources from deletion, accidental deletion, you can apply a lock. So I have deleted the lock here, and then I'm successfully able to delete this virtual machine, right?
Yes.
So now the virtual machine is no more there. Let's refresh this. It's still getting deleted. So the virtual machine is successfully deleted. Let's see. It may take some time for the cleaning up of the components, but we'll visit maybe in a couple of minutes. So now I'll show you how you can set a resource lock at the resource group level, right? So if you want to go to a resource group, you just go to resource group at the search bar, resource group. I'm going to log the resources in tests SNIT resource group, right? So let's say these are the resources I have in that, right? So if I apply a lock on this resource group level, I may not be able to delete any of these resources. Let's give it a shot. Let's try it. So lock, add a lock, deletion lock, and then I'll do a delete testing for deletion. Okay, I'll give a okay. And then let's go ahead and try to delete one of the resource here. So let's say I have a storage account called test west US SNIT. Let's see if I can delete this. See, cannot be deleted. This resource group or parent has a delete lock. So if someone tries to delete a resource which is locked, it will give a error message saying that you cannot delete this particular lock. Are we clear now? So how can I clear this, or how can I delete this? By deleting the lock at the resource group level. If I delete the lock here, and if I go back and try to delete this storage account, let me give the name confirm. Okay, delete. So that storage account is no more accessible. It is deleted. Before this, we may not be able to delete it because it is completely deleted now, right? Before that, we are not able to delete because of a lock on that particular resource. Okay, clear, guys? Yeah. Let's move to the next topic. So this is about resource logs and resource log management. creating resource log using Portal, ARM templates, or PowerShell or REST API. You can create resource log using all these things. ARM templates, you can use templates to create resource logs. You can use PowerShell or REST API. So GitHub has a, one second, resource logs. Okay. So you can use ARM templates. So you can use GitHub and you can get a ARM template and start applying the resource templates. And you can use PowerShell to set up a resource log, or you can use a REST API applied at the subscription level, resource group level, or a resource level. So we have checked, we have did a demo on applying the resource log at a virtual machine level. And then we have applied at a resource group level. We can do it at a subscription level as well. I'll show you how we can do it at a subscription level. So go to subscriptions and then free trial, resource logs, add. I can do it at a resource group level as well, resource subscription level as well. So I may not be able to delete the resources in this entire subscription without deleting this resource log. So now all the resources are logged from accidental deletion. So let's say I'll do a deletion. Okay, so the lock is created. So this is how you can create a lock at the subscription level as well. Okay. Let's go back. When a lock is applied at the parent scope, all child resources inherit the same lock. Even resources you add later inherit the lock from the parents. So when I applied a lock at the resource group level, am I able to delete the resources within the resource group? No, because if I apply a lock at the resource group level, it will be inherited to the child resources as well. That means it will be passed on to the resources which are in this resource group. So all the resources which are added in future will also be locked in that particular resource group. Owner and user access administrator can create and delete resource locks. Who can create these resource locks is owner and user access administrator. So I am the owner of that subscription. So I am able to create a lock for that resources. So if you give a user with a user access administrator, then he can create a lock on that particular resource group. So management policies and resource group will we have a demo on that. And now is a template security. So we discussed about templates. So ARM templates, how it works and how to deploy from GitHub. How can we deploy from Azure? How to author the templates, in the sense how to create our own templates in Azure and deploy it, right? So we'll discuss now about template security. How can we secure the templates? So let's say in the template, we are giving some confidential data like usernames and passwords. So how can we secure them without giving the username and password? Well, how can we get a workaround to that? With instead of giving a username and password, what we can give, right? So if you give a username and password, if someone have access to these templates, he can have access to the usernames and password. Instead of that, what we can do to secure the templates? Sensitive information such as VM secrets, certificates, and network routing information should not be specified in a ARM template. So when you're trying to create a ARM template, if you specify all this information, then it is vulnerable, right? When then it is anyone can who have access to that template can view those secrets, right? So using a Azure Key Vault with Resource Manager to orchestrate and securely store VM secrets and certificates. So instead of giving all this sensitive information, what you can do is you can create a Azure Key Vault. Azure Key Vault is nothing but where you can store your passwords, where you can store your certificates, and also where you can store your confidential data. It's like a bank with a key, right? So where you can store and you will have the key to that. So instead of specifying usernames and passwords, what you can do is you can specify the link to this Azure Key Vault. So that will be secured because you have the key to that, right? And you can orchestrate that. Using key vault means that the ARM template refers to a URI that contains the secret. So that will have a link to the Azure Key Vault instead of a password. So it will try to retrieve the username and password from Azure Key Vault instead of giving a username and password or confidential data in Azure or in ARM templates. The loading of secrets into VM at deployment occurs via direct channel between Azure Fabric and Key Vaults. Whenever you're trying to deploy that template to Azure, so this Key Vault try to give that information which is crucial for the deployment of Azure resources, right? Maintain separate templates for vault creation and VM deployment. So we have to maintain the separate templates for that. This we have already discussed. Network information in templates. Many scenarios will have required the specify how traffic to one or more VM instances in VM virtual network is controlled. So use a network security group to define this part in the ARM. So in a template for the network information, we have to use a separate code for giving this network information. So we may be discussing this maybe in the network section in the coming days. So demo on management policies and resource logs. So now we are going to discuss about auditing and troubleshooting. Auditing is nothing but whenever you have created action, right? Whenever you have created action on a subscription level or a resource group level or at a resource level. So we have to check what are the things which we have done, right? So let's say on a free trial subscription, I've created a resource log, right? So how can I check what actions have been performed? I can go to activity log here and I can see what are the actions performed by any of the users. So here, if I can see the latest one, I can see a delete management log that is created by me 5 minutes ago. And who is the user who have deleted the log? snitech@hotmail.com. That is me. So I have added the management log just 5 minutes ago and I have deleted it. So I have deleted a storage account 8 minutes ago, right? So these are the events happened within this subscription. We can also view the same kind of events in resource groups. Let's say if we go to the resource, if you go to activity logs, you can see the same thing, right? I've deleted a virtual machine. Deletion happened 12 minutes ago. I've deleted a storage account that happened 8 minutes ago. This is like Windows Event Viewer. So where you can go ahead and see what exactly happened within a machine, right? So this is how you can check the activity or audit what are the actions done by a user. Event logging process. As resources are being deployed, the resource provider will interact with the Azure Event Service. So whenever you're trying to deploy any kind of user, any kind of resource in Azure, whatever the resource you're deploying, it will send a trigger or interact with Azure Service Event through Azure Fabric. Azure Fabric is nothing but the core installation, right? So it interacts with the Azure Fabric and then the Azure Fabric interacts with the Azure Service Event Service to generate the events. Event Service gathers event information about what is happening behind the scene, behind the scenes. So this event service, what is the use of this event service? It will try to gather the information, what is happening during the deployment of the resources, and it will try to project on the activity logs. As a template execution is taking place, information is being requested from the resource provider, which in turn are reported all actions they are taking in the event service. So we have discussed about resource providers as well. So let's say in a template, we are asking to deploy a virtual machine, right? If a virtual machine has to be deployed, who has to provide the services? Microsoft.compute, right? So this Microsoft.compute, it will try to provide the resources. In turn, it will also try to talk to event service saying that this is what is requested, this is what I have performed, and this is the output of that, so that you will be clear about that, right? So that is how the event service interacts with all the template deployments as well. The event service then notifies the event viewer of the operation which are logged and made viewable in the audit log blade. So this will be viewable in the audit log blade, which we have already discussed. This is the auditing. So whenever deleted a virtual machine, the event service have taken that information and it is showing up in the activity log, right? Includes all activities that are performed. So whatever the activity is performed by any user, it will be included in the activity log. So this is how the resources deployment into Azure. So Azure portal events and deployments, events, whenever you deploy an event, whenever you deploy a resource, a event occurs, right? So deployment template, if you deploy a template, it will be template execution, and from there it will be, or it'll be deployed through a ARM manager, that is Azure Resource Manager, and it will be deploying the resources which are required, and in turn it will be acting or sending messages to event service to project the activity in the activity log. So that is how the flow happens. You see this? It interacts deployment template, deployment template execution, deploy operation, and then it will be talking to the resources, and then events will be generated. Once the resource is deployed, event service interacts with the resources, and then a event is generated to events. So activity logs, we already have discussed about the activity logs. Use activity logs to find an error when troubleshooting or to monitor how a user of your organization is monitoring resources. So let's say I have tried to delete a particular resource and it is not able to delete that. So where can I find a error message? So let's say in this test SNIT, I tried to delete a virtual machine, simple virtual machine, and it is not getting deleted. So I have to check what exactly happened, right? So this is the failed event. So where can I check that? Can go to activity log. So I can see the delete virtual machine. Here it is failing. Why is it failing? Because of the lock on that particular resource group. So I can check on this and I can see if this is because of the lock. I'll go ahead and I'll try to remove that particular lock, and then I'll delete the resource group or the resource, right? So that is how it works. That is the use of activity logs. Using activity log, you can determine what operations were taken on the resources in your subscription. In my case, I have deleted a Windows machine, right, or a simple VM. So in my case, I have taken a delete action on the resource. Who initiated the operation? When we go to activity, what all I can see, what is the kind of action I have performed, that is delete virtual machine, and who have initiated it, that is snitech@hotmail.com, and when was it initiated, that is 17 minutes, and to which subscription it is initiated, and what is the status of that. These are the things which we can find in the activity log. Who initiated the operation, when the operation occurred, that is 17 minutes ago, the status of the operation, that is in a failed state, the value of other properties that might help you research the operation. In my case, that is a failed operation, and it says delete operation failed. And if I click on failed operation, it says this is the error message which I got. So this is the use of the activity log. The activity log contains all write operations, put, post, and delete performed on your resources and does not include read operations. So this is the kind of operations it uses. Troubleshooting. So some of the common issues are some of the common issues when you're trying to deploy resources or activity log. So deployment operations are logged under two areas, that is deployment operation log and the activity log. So when I try to delete a machine, where all the activity happens. So this is a deployment activity log. So this is one place, and the other one is a activity log of that particular resource. So those are the two areas where you can check. Deployment operation logs include a detailed recording of the deployment and provide enough information being in troubleshooting. So whenever a deployment fails or is successful, you can view that deployment results within the deployment operation. Activity log includes basic summary logging, and also more detailed logging using JSON. So when I go to activity log, so if I click on this failed log, so I can see the summary of this. This is clear. So if you want to debug more, in the sense, if you want to check what exactly happened, you can go to the JSON file as well. So what actually happened here? I can go through the code and see what exactly is going on here. So I can see all the code and the failed events value and the failed event, and I can see HTTP status code, that is 409, and I can see the status message from here. So what exactly happened? So there is a lock on that. It is asking to please remove the lock. Maybe guys who are familiar with scripting can easily go through this scripting. So you can also debug through the JSON file if the summary operation is not giving enough information. Correlation IDs are used to track related events. So there'll be IDs for each of the activity log, which can track the events. View deployment operation logs. So how can I view a deployment operation log? View deployment logs using Azure portal. So I can view a deployment log using Azure portal. So let's say I'll try to deploy a simple resource group at and I'll try to review and create. So once I click on create, I can go to this deployment logs here, and I can also view from here. As it is a simple resource group, it have deployed easily. So let's say I'll try to create a virtual machine. Add a virtual machine. I'm trying to create it to SNIT, test SNIT. This is just a simple deployment, guys. So I'm going to show this again in the virtual machines class, but I just want to show you how we can check the deployment logs. Okay. Review and create. So if I create this, I'll be seeing a initializing deployment event here, right? So once the deployment is selected, submitting deployment, and it is deployment in progress. So this is the place where we can see the deployment logs, right? So your deployment is underway. So saying that it is still trying to deploy the resource. So once this deployment is completed, you can either see the deployment logs here, or you can check from the deployment operations. See this? Deployment operations are still going on. So this is the place where you can see the deployment logs and also from the activity log. So use events to view all related operations for a deployment and locate the failed component. Use get-azure group deployment resource group to get overall status of the deployment. This is a Azure commandlet, PowerShell commandlet to get the operations. Use get-azure resource group deployment operations resource group name to view the deployment logs for each operation in the deployment. So this is one of the operation which you can perform. Common deployment errors. Some of the most common deployment errors are these. These PPTs will be shared with you. You may be able to understand all these error messages once the complete course is completed. But these are some of the common errors which you can see. Invalid template or resource. This is one of the error. Resource name taken. That resource name is already taken. This we have seen a lot of times. Cannot find resource during the deployment, so you may not be giving the correct name to that. Could not find member copy on object. SKU not available. So in that particular region or the place where you are trying to install the resource, that particular SKU is not available. Let's say D2S1. Yesterday we have found the same issue. No registered provider found. Quota exceeded. So you may not be able to install that because of the quota limits. Authorization failed. Permissions issue. Case sensitive URIs. So it is not meeting the requirement. Storage account provisioning delayed because of a timeout value. DSC errors. Know when a deployment is ready. Azure Resource Manager reports success on the deployment. So let's say I have deployed this machine. So once the deployment is ready, it will say deployment succeeded, right? So I can view that directly from the Azure portal. So there is a bell icon here. So you can, once the deployment is ready, you can view from here. It will give a green check mark. So that is what it is talking about. Other tasks may still need to complete before the deployment is ready. Example, waiting for updates or run post creation script. So here, when I have created a virtual machine, the other task like adding a disk, adding a storage, and creating a public IP for that. So all those tasks are pending. The virtual machine deployment is completed, but the backend task may be still be running. So we have to give a minute or two for that virtual machine to be completely available. Azure can be prevented from reporting deployment success by using a custom script to monitor the deployment and report success once all task has been successfully completed. So let's say you are deploying 100 machines, right, with a template. So at that time, you can use not to show the reports once until all the resources have been deployed. So that can be done by scripting. Use the demands on elements in the templates to specify dependencies that we have already. So deployment logs, we have done a demo, and activity logs, we have done a demo on this. And then that's it for today's class. Open for questions. Hello.
Good morning.
Yeah. Open for questions.
We are deleting the machine, right? What happens to the data in that case?
So when you are trying to delete a machine, that's a good question. So let's see what happened. So when you go to that resource group from where you have deleted, right? Where is the resource group? So I have deleted a simple virtual machine. So what happened to those resources? So the disks are still in there, right? So in that case, when you delete a virtual machine, only the XML file has been deleted. The disks and the related NIC cards and the disks are still in there. So what you can do in that case is you have to manually go to that disks and delete them. You see this simple machine? So those are still in there. So I can delete them from here. Delete. So when you delete a resource or a virtual machine, so only the virtual machine is deleted, not the connected resources. Does that answer your question?
So if the resource group itself is deleted at a time, there are a lot of things, right?
That's true. So if you want to delete all the components instead of deleting the individual components, you can delete the resource group. If you delete the resource group, all the resources within that resource group are deleted. So it's like blasting everything.
Does that normally happen, or there are a few restricted things which you can stop?
I didn't get your question.
I mean, does it normally happen? Like, someone actually goes inside. People like us who don't know much. They kind of delete the resource group. What is the recovery in that case?
I told you, right? Resource locks is one of the thing which you can do. Locking the resource without getting accidental deletion. So you can apply locks. So if you delete the
So there is
resource
a
group, that's it.
there
There
is
is
a
no other way. There is no other way to recover that. But storage, now they have come up with a soft delete option. You have to manually enable that. So if you delete the storage account, the data will be available for 14 days. If you enable the soft delete, you can recover the data within 14 days. And then if you're not recovering the data, it will be completely deleted from Azure side. But if you delete the resource group, it's gone. You have to restore if you have a backup.
There's normally a policy structure or anything like that in house which we follow, like
Policy, yes, we can set a policy for that users, for that resource group. If a particular user is trying to delete a resource group, we'll say deny for that a resource group or a particular location, particular resource. We can do that. We can write a script and apply that script to the resources so that you may not be able to delete it. Locking is a simple way, right? So locking a resource group is a simple way instead of applying a policy. And also I thought of showing you guys about a policy, right? So let's say this is a resource group. So how can I apply a policy? Either I can apply a policy at the resource group level, or I can directly go to policies. So what is a policy about? I told you, right? So let's say a virtual machine is having a unmanaged disk, right? Or a managed disk, or a particular kind of disk. And your organization imposed a policy saying that all the virtual machines should only have a particular kind of disk, not a unmanaged disk. All should have a managed disk, right? In that case, what you can do is you can create a policy and you can check the compliance. Compliance is nothing but if all the virtual machines are using a managed disk or not. I can check. How can I do that? So a policy, view all. So I have only one policy, assignment, assign a policy, exclusions. So I don't have an exclusion for now. I'm trying to create a policy. So basic definition. So these are the pre-available templates and definitions I have. So I can say manage disk. So audit VMs that do not use a managed disk. So it will try to audit all the virtual machines which do not have a managed disk. Let's say I have 100 machines, right? So 20 of them are not using a managed disk. Then it will say only 80% is compliant and 20 machines are not using a managed disk. So let's say I'll select this and I'll say audit managed disk, enable, and next I'll go to parameters, remediation, next, and create. I'm not trying to create a remediation for now. I'm just trying to create a policy and I'll see what are the machines which are not having a managed disk. So this is the policy which I have created, right? So I can assign this policy as an initiative, but for now, I think creating a policy should be enough. So how a policy, I have created a policy, how it acts or what are the outputs of the policy. I'll show you how it looks like when you have created a policy and then it is applied. So if I go to policies here, I have applied a policy for checking a unmanaged disk for my entire subscription. So this is how it looks like. All my policies are applied. Audit, where is it? Audit VMs which are not having a managed disk, right? So it have checked the policy and all my machines are using a managed disk. So this is how it gives. It is in a compliant state and all the machines are using managed disk. If I go to policy compliance, there are some of the non-compliant policies as well, which are set here. So you can check and you can apply a remedy for that. So these are the storage accounts maybe which are not meeting the policy requirement, right? So this is about policies and applying the policies to Azure subscription. Any questions, guys? So for today's lab, I'm going to add
Kamath, you have to spoon feed us tomorrow once we do this.
Yeah.
We have to understand our life.
Tomorrow we are going to have a lab session, purely for 1 or 2 hours. So as it is a weekend, we'll start maybe at 11 o'clock, so that it'll give some time for you guys also to
And I still have
watch
my
the meet
subscription
later.
issue also,
Oh yeah,
holding on with Harsha.
yeah, yeah.
So,
So we'll try to set up a call tomorrow at 11 a.m. So we'll set up maybe for 1 hour, depending upon the requirement. We'll try to set up and we'll resolve all the issues. Okay.
and I understand basically, it will take, we are actually taking, I think every one of us are like, taking small steps right
Mm-hmm.
now.
Mm-hmm.
Holding on, there's something, sometimes it's overwhelming.
Yeah. So when you have the basics like the hardware, networking, operating systems, and VMware or Hyper-V or virtualization, then this is a cakewalk for you guys. But when you jump into this Azure cloud technologies, when you are new to this, maybe it could be a little confusing to you guys. But when you start doing the labs, when you start trying to understand the technology, it'll be really easy for you guys. So I'll make sure you guys are proficient with the cloud technologies by end of this course. So that is why we are having a lab session tomorrow as well, to make sure that you guys are onboarded onto Azure and you are getting familiarized with the technology. There could be a lot of theory, but once you start deploying the resources, start doing the labs, that's when you actually understand the technology. Yeah. So today's lab, what we have discussed, we discussed about resource logs, and then we have discussed about policy, and then we have discussed about activity logs and deployment logs. What else we have discussed? That's it. Three labs, maybe: resource logs, policy, and activity log deployment. So just go through them, go through the resources, resource logs, policies, Azure policies, activity log, and deployment logs, and see if you can read some of the documents on Microsoft documents related to this, and then try to perform some of the labs related to this, and see if you can come up with any questions tomorrow. Any questions, guys? No questions? Okay, I'll stop the